Hell, this is regarding VA racketeering in collusion with media racketeering through databases, which maintains itself as that facilitated to collusion with branches with live progressions that they need to hide by offensively pretending to perceive things, exploiting acceptations with the law and acceptation nature to defend their roles and treatments of positive and negative, where and has and how positive and negative are actually by and as the value of identity's actual course, which is simultaneous nature as our value. Now, see, but this is also simultaneous nature onto the order of the finite, the smallest thing that is important to our overall identities for a reason. The identity of positive and negative goes as juxtaposed, not just alpha and omega, not just yin yang. Yin yang's volume only fills as a relationship to itself that's already complete. This is complete, semi, and simultaneous. The identity of forever is complete. The identity of space is semi. And the identity that are together is simultaneous. As that order to the finite, active and progressive at the same time, by identity that is also discernibly before and after this, in conjunction with it, so we can see its complete nature of relationship to itself. And so this is obligations by our fact treatment nature run by science, for example, in relationship to gravity, obligated to discern this difference between the identity of up and down, which is one identity's identity of relationship to itself, all gathered around. Distinctly and non-distinctly in relationship to Earth from the other planets, because it has a distinct and non-distinct relationship to its identity, the way our identities do. Each individual identity is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature to the complete nature of volume we are the range of, that it is so simultaneously each individual grouped, parted group, and bonded species. So we could see the Trinity. So we could see mandated law's value, which is beyond law's value. That's why English is capitalized, law is not. I'm not a lawyer, I'm pleased for I'm not a doctor. The doctors are recorded with racketeering associated with branches originally and still criminally foreign influence delusions raw as identities. In collusion with overt criminal enterprises, everyone needing to react to all fake positive as a criminal insidiousness nature. Now, for example, the predicate act is associated with an actor who's a criminal insidiousness nature and with the influences of a whole criminal enterprise and or criminal enterprise is bonded. This is per a crime method that is mimicking the actual identity of all things at once, the identity of relationship to it has to the ground as the ground's value, and what is the value coming from it simultaneously by tactically denaturing semi-ancient relationships to denatured value of groundwater relationships. Nature's identity of relationship to itself was maintained, tricked, forced, hurt, persuaded, worse. Value is for this algorithm. The identity is each complete identity simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature to the semi-nature that is simultaneously also the complete nature and simultaneously the simultaneous nature. That is the value of every identity of value, distinctly and non-distinctly, in demonstration of its distinct and non-distinct relationship to itself, and what reveals the fruits and gifts of evolution here, or that forces demonstration of them from here, Leaf of Hadith. See, but we have this covered up because we have the tactically denatured relationship to nature, maintain self-value, all kinds of ways. And that exploited. They knew that nature will continue to demonstrate negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. And they engineered alter roles needed to defend positive in relationship to identities, actual affects nature, relationship to all parts of itself at once. Now, see, we have the online platforms used by this racketeering method that keeps the directors of each branch of government, each group to one, part of each one, excuse me, like FBI, CIA, not even FBI, CIA. I can demonstrate you they're recorded. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, down. See, they are recorded originally and still facilitated the crime roles, exploiting the identity theft. So our founders didn't have free speech. They're keeping A, B thought, C, criminally foreign influenced, valued that way, per time treatments, per uses of each age of fact, should be nature, simultaneously forsaken distinctly and non-distinctly, sickly distinctly, and already methodically to each category of each nature of sophistication within as that maintained needing to value the brain real cause of negative value nature progression acts natures and other things acts like predicate acts. So the predicate is value to the discernment of means to counter predicate acts that since semi-ancient times were caused by criminally foreign influenced value and method of science, valuing sequence true. What is the order to the smallest thing, the finite? What is the order to the active? Quality of fact, cheap nature, nature of volume as forever nature, identity nature, only fills. As yin yang is a painting of it of this transverse section, which is the simultaneous nature, that is the complete bond onto all individual value progressions grouped and together at once. And so it is also there are proofs that yin yang was revealed with what revealed English in semi-ancient times, and or in ancient times rather, before semi-ancient criminally re-engineering of the nature of ancient sciences, and so methodically breaching organized crime method to affect and to perpetually contain the human fact-shaping nature to an offensive evidence fabrication, racketeering roles effectively maintain self-value without anyone realizing that was the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and nature since semi-ancient times. Campus Marcius is an ancient extension and value relationship to and as the value of the republic for which we stand, modern nations, distinctly and non-distinctly, because a grouped nature of volume is only filling, because this identity of forever nature and its identity of relationship to itself is in demonstration to us also of and as the value of that, which is really what positive and negative value is about. We are temporary positive, but so it's so is criminal insidiousness nature associated with overt criminal enterprises. So I'm an expert on the nature of English grammar. What is nature? Nature is identity and its relationship to what is positive or negative as a whole bunch of identities of value progression simultaneously. This simultaneous nature is in demonstration to us of and as the identity of the sciences share at once. Now, Allah's name, this is simultaneously a semi-nature and a complete nature in this conversation. We're not having the first part of the Quran, first part of the Old Testament, realized, even though the Quran is demonstrating that groups like ISIS are involved with collusion, with all kinds of nations involved with psychology, racketeering, Racketeering with the VA. When they say people commit suicide, that's because someone makes that the determination, but that those locations were and are already involved with racketeering, directly and indirectly, from former director of the FBI down, right through houses in my area. How they use the identity of the ground, in other words, with facilitated the, I mean, I'm not using a different word besides facilitate. Houses in my ground affected to roles with originally and effectively breaching organized crime method maintained needs for branches originally still to be offensive evidence racketeering, lipogressions, standing lipogression cover-up natures, valuing, self-valuing each age of correlation natures identity, which is Trinity's identity of relationship to itself, which is also identity nature bigger than itself. This is where and how and why each complete identity is simultaneously the semi-nature that has. That's why us as a semi-nature, complete nature, because this simultaneous nature is with that. And their simultaneous relationship to themselves is the difference of Earth. And where that's not true, that forces Earth's value away from here, Leith of Hadith, as negative to a little bit more of the identity of all things at once coming into, and as they're gaining value of temporary / lasting space nature, semi-possession of its identity, where its identity, its complete nature of volume's value. That's why we have semi-nature possession of our identities. See, by our complete nature of volume's value, fact where it counts, fact human nature was confined to self-value, uses of positive far short of what could stand free speech with simultaneously with sequence true no, which is the value of a whole bunch of simultaneous natures of value, where and as and how. This invisible but still discernible nature of volume of and as the relationship that all individual grouped and identity of value progressions have at once. Only the extent of it is debatable. See, but this is being debated offensively. Interscience is not by accident by all victim predators, quality of fact treatment nature, all quality of positive treatments, using the identities of individuals of and of groups of science, like groups, the identities of campuses. This is in a vertical and horizontal organized crime method that originally and still knew we left not only Native Americans' actual value and rights forsaken, they left each age of fact treatment nature. If you believe that from this, with the zoning laws recorded, involved, and demonstrated, confessed, self-valued, obfuscated how it was involved, and worse, how it was involved with the fact treatment nature, torture, slavery, murder, identity thefts, identity fraud, it's sustained, fake care simultaneously, misprision, focused engineering of roles with all fit to and as lipogressions, to and as value nature system roles as criminal insidious nature, therefore incapable of defending treatments of positive, individually grouped and together, especially how maintained this. All roles with an organized crime method that not one understood originally and still forced. I mean, everyone not even realizing in layers short, already having blamed the real cause of negative value nature progression, acts and natures of it by it on other things other than self. And so therefore, having valued the identity around relationships to organized crime, most formally and private, juxtaposed with his adaptation of more here, differentially in relationship to their needs to hide criminally foreign influence racketeering with like prisons, and but also like with campuses from off them. But then this is for the child abuse method for sustain. High risk school has sex offenders proven, especially if made up. They have recorded furthered sex crime methods, medical crime acts and actors, fake passion care against people with like hate speech or stuff like that, because they're using groups. They're using bad people of every type of difference, and then they pretend the person is these are people in collusion with interbranch used racketeering roles with databases like Facebook. Their uses of it with recorded a pattern of sex crime acts, of reactions to it. If you try to call in things proper, we have originally still sick people for affected by like the Wethersfield police chief, other natures of agencies, foreign and domestic, military, foreign and domestic, all private juxtaposed with them, racketeering already. Whole bunch of misprision groups. They're forging names, switching names, all kinds of racketeering with all kinds of natures of gun and of drug crime roles. People needing to pretend against it because they're sick by the time they get to fact treatment nature, value. They use value treatments, voting. They're involved with racketeering with everything since founding, pounding drums, left on free. If you're entertaining half the stuff, if you're entertaining an iota of the peripheral crimes that you can't help commit, if you entertain statutes pretending that you believe, law color should be this or that, or England should be, and them too at the same time. I'm not saying the armies aren't right, but about needing to counter each other because they're both fake positive. So what we have to counter though is the fact treatment nature racketeering that is shared there and here, self-value. It's just recorded in collusion with inter types of religion, of Christianity, inter types of Judaism takes, inter types of everything here in collusion, only going to for the defenses of sensibilities that are only capable of relying on types of experts. Also recorded with the uses of words like training, consciously, criminally, knowing that there are intercampuses, systems uses, and racketeering roles with that. Their racketeering roles with that were used to maintain their motivations for racketeering with Russians associated with the houses associated on Church Street in Old Wethersfield, for example. From there all the way to CCSU, businesses, locations, people with agency, their family members sick, associated with CCSU. Their sisters, brothers, mothers, associated with a location, people associated with this Eric Jensen, mobile gas stations on South Steen Highway. Now, these are criminally foreign influenced by a whole bunch of nation roles with them. Pakistan, a whole bunch of people with the DeMoro family, Tony DeMoro, Joe DeMoro, Ray Cololo, recorded distinctly and not distinct. They also recorded pretending to be against it on the record, the Kerr family, but also recorded confessing, demonstrating, and recording racketeering with judges and with people with victims advocates and with prosecutors involved with racketeering with kids and with databases and with sequence shifts, with falsified police reports, forging names, switching names, drug racketeering roles, racketeering with a whole bunch of different nations, overt criminal enterprises, roles with military, foreign and domestic, sick fakes, near CT breaks. So WFSB is also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they have racketeering with state police, involved intercities with them, on and off West Farms Mall, on and off CCSU with them. These are racketeering where they're using the right to lie and briefs how to respond to it and statutes where they have the right, that say they have the right to do that by the racketeering method that knew that they were going to exploit that, and then have to hide that perpetually from presidents, from that nature of volume, forcing them to roles with collusion with that because it's a whole bunch of native states, colonies, states, same thing. Still boxing, still racketeering involved with treatments of Jim Crow, what that's about, because we have people only capable of defending and even in awareness of statutes is still sick, still racketeering tools. Racketeering is organized crime associated with criminal enterprise. These are criminal enterprises originally still facilitated by the one that came from off the ground of ground's value ties to our quality of fact sheet nature, juxtaposed this tactically denatured relationship to nature, self-value, engineered that way, consciously, with not one person realizing. Now, we have to have a correlation to how free speech and free religion simultaneously. If you don't have free speech, simultaneously too, with free religion, when you have free speech, you don't have mandated law followed. The VA and other identity grounds with titles and opinions criminally foreign influence, different styles of liars, different styles of uses of identity for fact cheating nature racketeering when other people speak, pretending they're positive. Oh, you don't talk about the name of the military. See, they have the people they write off as committing suicide too. You don't know if they're committing suicide. Plus, they've racketeering right onto a whole locations. Originally, still, when you see the people with the people, they have candles marked in neighborhoods they call bad neighborhoods. They call it they're in poverty. These are all victim reactions to quality of fact cheating nature where not one person heard science's voice. Science is about the nature of volume. Nature is about identities, positive and negative, trinity, with itself, with the semi-nature of itself. That is the complete nature of itself simultaneously. And that simultaneous nature is the difference between what reveals our fruits and gifts, or Leith of Hadith. See, but those fruits and gifts are now in tactical ulterior value nature system that was engineered to keep fact cheating nature racketeering roles, preventing science's actual use by and needs by what our fruits and gifts actually in relationship to the identity of the ground. So, but now we have the identity of the ground all gathered around, not native pure. And that way alone just means for sure. See, when you're caring about sequence true in the order to the finite, not denying exceptions, because now this is exception nature itself, that simultaneous nature and that leads science and is inseparable from all answers because it is more than one identity of nature at once, but as its own. It's its own identity of relationship to itself. This is where they're not letting free speech for anyone to calmly demonstrate that and how the sciences connect. There are even proofs that the yin yang goes inside the omega. That's our complete value, but as temporary / lasting, positive or negative. Our value is inseparable from each other, and it's forced apart in demonstration of that. The simultaneous nature only fills, and that's what reveals the substance of evolution or its loss. We right now we are forever nature as a quality of diffusion. Only the extent of it is debatable, but not by accident. Simultaneously, the sciences and the branches are abridged, self-valued, predator, fact-cheating natures of convictions. For example, with relationship to guns, relationship to their fake news, with the racketeering with the news, pretending like they have integrity with these nations with criminal justice shared policing of prisons originally still sick. fake stick, CT. You hide the seed. See, suits and ties. We have the identity of the ground. They're exploiting the positive and negative by maintaining originally and still criminally foreign influence high predators with prisons. Way worse than the overt criminal enterprises recorded needing to hide the same finite active sequence shifts and identity theft racketeering roles with them. Worse than identity frauds, worse than torture, free speech prevention offensively. No, we have offensive evidence racketeering. Offensive evidence racketeering perception natures as the identities of each branch. So they hurt each other, not by accident. So everyone's hurting each other, not by accident. Everyone blamed the real cause of this. Everyone already valued the past and actively more ways to invent to keep blaming the real cause of negative value nature progression to each other things other than themselves. This is simultaneously sickly distinctly and sickly non-distinctly with the school shootings. What is recorded consciously having been maintained intercampuses of each age and nature, racketeering upon the shootings in Hartford, Connecticut, and New Haven, especially regarding the ones made up, because those are people involved with the racketeering with the like triage relationships. We have identities of each branch of government with badges that are involved with evidence racketeering. These are involved with racketeering with all various natures of prosecutors every day. They already did it. Hear many pray. Then they have to hide and had to hide originally and still lie progressions. Not by accident. That was invested in layers. That kept and keeps a whole bunch of people lying even to themselves, not realizing. All victim predators blaming the real cause of negative value nature, get predators, seeing them, discerning them, all filtered, juxtapose other motivations, natures, needs, and interests. This is only capable of being a negative value nature progression until we have free speech, till we have free religion. We have religious racketeering intercampuses because of how like especially distinctly and non-distinctly, the Britain Superior Court, racketeering with a whole bunch of people facilitated to it, affected to it, criminally foreign influence to it. At the same time, on off all the campuses I went to, campuses I didn't even go to that demonstrate the same people involved with the same criminal uses of the identity ground relationship. They used and are using Hamilton. I didn't even see the play. This is the same people that are using and having used all the sensibility, the fact treatment nature, conviction natures, the sequence quality treatment natures, the positive and negative treatment natures of the movies, of all their identity of the ground relationships. Value treatment convictions tied to money and things like that, again, juxtaposed though. They're hiding their real motivations. They're hiding their real, actually recorded natures. Racketeering associated with pretended positive offensively, pretending to care against things that might be bad for kids to hear. Those people are involved with racketeering that prevents mandated law from being demonstrated, prevented by the interbranch, military, foreign, and domestic, private, overt criminal enterprises recorded in collusion with crime acts, acting passions, emotions, because they need to pretend things they don't realize roles with sequence shifts that reveal they're acting not for the reasons that are also recorded how maintained juxtaposed. We have people that are killing each other for reasons that are real to themselves, and in a lot of ways legitimate. In other words, we have police killing people because they're in collusion with the overt criminal enterprises with the courts and with all the prisons involved with them. Originally and still, as identities individually grouped and together progressed through the organized crime method that made them quality of fact treatment needing to hide lie progressions from another method of organized crime that then juxtaposed that self-valued in layers. The tactically denatured relationship to nature is a platform that is not only circumventing evolution, but it is functional to what kept and keep everyone propagated to roles with things like slavery, which is offensive evidence racketeering, which is offensive preventing mandated law and pretending other. This offensive criminal use of statutes may effectively maintain breaching organized crime method using human fact, treatment, nature originally and still, using each person's identity, sickly distinctly and sickly non-distinctly simultaneously. So they keep self-valued effectively originally and still fake sides of everything, every invisible but still discernible relationship to this simultaneous nature that is self-generating, that is inseparable from and as the value of each answer to every question. So we have recorded racketeering collusion between the people that hate ISIS and ISIS. Recorded, maintained, used to keep states and areas, forcing leaders to blame the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, mass criminal insidiousness natures, takes on the beginning of the Quran and of the Old Testament, takes on other religions, because the sciences, scientific fact sheet nature is maintained self-value as criminal insidiousness nature or volume, as positive as logic that can't defend itself and teach the difference between logic's obligation in nature and order without criminal foreign influences. So this is, for example, the motivations also recorded, actually recorded natures of a whole bunch of doctors, foreign and domestic, with criminal uses of all each age of campus in Wethersfield, Connecticut, interbranch, on off their campuses, the state judicial branch offices, on off the state prison offices, also recorded and confessed involved with racketeering with 2 speech teachers I had, and with their relationships to a whole bunch of facilitated racketeering roles of strangers to me that would pretend other, in other words, they would say that. Except, but in the background, you could do fact treatment nature tricks. Like if you walk by someone or someone told you know about someone, but only through someone else, and and you saw them, so you could but then you could connect that and pretend you know the person, knowing that you were involved. Pretending not to fathom offensively that you're the people with Washington D.C. that are tied to Wethersfield High School in the past with racketeering acts. They are relevant to what is now recorded active crime rolls with the Wethersfield police chief, with principals involved with a whole bunch of natures of child abuses, as people involved also with racketeering with the elderly, again with racketeering with look, each nature of city, sickly distinctly. Now this is also easy to discern how they were in our consciously racketeering roles with the North End of Hartford, and with their news regarding it with Fox Connecticut News, that would rather have themselves treated as the organized crime racketeering bodies they are than fix their fake news and racketeering with their on-off location, their location. They're also racketeering with foreign and domestic military and police, black and white. You are involved with them with racketeering with judges, with child offenders, with that, pretending to perceive things offensively. Right near there are proofs that consciously or unconsciously. But this is with the corner of Fox Connecticut News, where they had a guy go by on one of those things that you stand on and you drive, an officer, and he went, or I think he went like that, whatever when it went by. But that corner was already involved with the 2 Mendez police, 2 Domain police, a Thaddeus Grabowski, and a whole bunch of other people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts roles with databases with people from former director of the FBI down, with their crimes with federal criminal co-defendants of his, with their family members. Also rolls with them with racketeering. Also with the foreign and domestic, whole bunch of natures of medical corruption in families, associated criminal uses of intercities, and like spots associated with Wesleyan College, well, associated with on the water spots. See, any identity of difference with the ground, and every single one is involved. What keeps methodically originally and still rolls with originally and still criminally foreign influence, fact, cheating nature, racketeering, valuing not by accident facilitated all a whole bunch of natures of police forms in each age of training it, and their families already the intelligence community, they're already in collusion with each other, the same nations they fight. So I don't know what they're doing, making me repeat and beg for free speech because they use the crime method of pulling people into courts so they can cover up their life progressions from their racketeering in the past through time. Their racketeering was that also recorded pretending to perceive things people don't even realize. In the background, they're being attached to fake recorded conversations with people that are also police forms because they were using the statutes that give them the right to lie to hide their shared policing for racketeering to hide their personal ones. Rolls again with a crime method that originally still maintained everyone valuing how pseudo positive juxtaposed all needs to blame the real causes of negative value nature, progressions, acts, and natures on other things, on others, and on selves. And then the defenses of fact, cheating nature, where those others are the victims of this organized crime method that American history is really about. But we still have all those forced self-valued roles, forced glorified overtly and simultaneously insidiously, because there are still private interbranch and intercampuses of each age and nature involve roles with a horizontal and vertical organized crime method against each forsaken age of fact keeping nature, which is native pure and correlation nature. So we have further distinctly and non-distinctly. Not only we have further child offenders with the campuses, we have this sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly, and none could defend their. They're also sharing needs and natures, knowing this, but only capable of blaming the real cause of other things other than themselves. Things like predicate acts, which in the proper treatments of this shows what really nature of and method of racketeering is really behind the shootings, sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly with the schools and with the most exploited areas. Also, as people sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly through time involved with the less often, but also murders and things crazy in the suburbs, tied to the forsaken, distinctly and non-distinctly each natures of city. So between New York and Boston, the capital of Connecticut, and New Haven, are more suburban, urban, for fact treatment nature racketeering, because this was set up for that. The tactically nature relationship to nature was set up for the fact treatment nature racketeering that also effectively kept and keeps the identity again of the CIA, of the FBI, of the homeland security, value as jobs, for example, negotiations of who is best for this identity. They don't care about the criminal uses of roles with our directors originally still criminally foreign influenced. You can't value their organized crime counter treatments. They're in collusion still. They put you get to the top, you don't know how to. No, I've never been at the top, but I'm saying it's discerned from here because this is the nature of volume is already there. It's already bigger than our extent will ever be. Temporary / lasting space. Only B, this identity of value that everyone is at the same time, because that's the course of, and as the value, that's the identity of science. See, we have the identity of science valued abridged because we have the Constitution valued abridged, because we have our American history stalled because we lost on significant fronts in the American Revolution because James Madison was the phenomenon of what could only anticipated and encountered that forced them into to set it up a little bit skewed. So in other words, we had the ability to be a nation, and in other words, but we were forced to go into World War I by what was in collusion there and here. Knew that this is maintaining war is needed. Again, needing negative value nature progression. That's a war. It's a negative value nature progression. It's our species in an identity of negative value nature progression. Again, blaming others, other things, and selves for the real cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and then not by accident. That's a methodically breaching organized crime, racketeering method maintained outcome. That is really what American history is about. See, but we have forced offensive quality of fact treatment nature that's pretending to have differences with people like Facebook, is pretending to have differences with people because they're involved with sequence shift racketeering. They're involved with database racketeering that doesn't stop there. Then there are lie progressions. Now they're standing lie progression cover up nature's styles as tools. Pro-organized crime racketeering, using state scenarios. Again, needing all roles. Just please follow mandated law. See, no, this is what I wanted them to. So mandated law is not allowed followed by the branches individually grouped and together or involved with natures of gun crimes missed. As people pretending to be against that because they're victim predators. So then they're pretending to be against it by pretending to be about legislation. Or let's do this. We'll tell this with the fake news. And these are people involved with racketeering with natures of crime that you can that still legalized only because they're racketeering with wire crime methods, mail crime methods, and with a whole bunch of nations maintaining our interbranch and each identity of the ground facilitated to mass wrongdoing, even predicate acts. Don't forget that not just murder in association with criminal enterprises is a predicate act. Mail crimes are. We have predicate acts further with the Trade Center attack. We have further confessed, recorded, and demonstrated how a whole bunch of extended family members tied to a house that came in when I was in fourth grade, and were tied to O'Brien family. A whole bunch of other nations involved with them with racketeering through time, with a whole bunch of natures of retired and standing detectives, retired and standing police forms, retired and standing judges, retired and standing natures of courts, retired and standing natures of roles with criminal justice schools like CCSU involved with them racketeering, leading up in 2006 case in Connecticut, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack, leading up to and in cases with each age of fact treatment nature originally and still. It's not our means. Not one thing is fair and free. Then let people see. This is an organized crime method that uses time always too fast, too slow. Look what they say as means with elderly homes. The garden gnomes. So in other words, look what they say with the VA. People stacking. This is pathology that was forced methodically. Since before cars, this was engineered to be the pathology from the tactically nature made the base only capable in layers of keeping the real cause of negative value nature progression acts nature blame all other things. There's racketeering, even if these people are killing themselves, the VA people, because you can't trust them because they're criminal uses of racketeering with the forensics clicks. Also, criminal uses of the witness protection program with the same ones involved with the racketeering at each age of campus I went to. Retired and standing judges, criminal uses of their courts, pretending other offensively. They know this is recorded. That's why they're sustaining it, because they're already recorded and involved with the crime methods even. Like if you call the report things, they'll force that delayed because they're forcing sustained. Their motivations for hurting the girls are even you can't separate that from the women judges and police forms and private, especially psychology involved with them racketeering originally, still also with overt criminal enterprises. These are sick natures with their life progressions needing to hurt and hide from correlation nature per the family members of kids, per those kids, the different ways to keep each means of discernment of how, that and how real causes of negative value nature progresses action nature bring blamed on other things. So we have offensive pretended integrity by people pretending to care about things. They don't care about anything. They're not following mandated law. We have the racketeering with all kinds of pseudo medicine involved with all kinds of medical corruption, racketeering. How much they owe more than is needed. Are you sick? They have their recorded evidence racketeering roles when they say not just even if the not regarding the debatable with, for example, what do they call it? Manic. They have medications for if people get manic. They have medications for people if they have various natures of mental disorders. Those doctors are recorded involved with drug racketeering, therefore incapable of being able to speak for this. Now, these are various natures of judges who are recorded racketeering acts, methods, roles, and actually recorded natures with them. Sequence shift racketeering, too. Wire crime method roles, mail crime method roles, criminal uses of databases with campuses of each age, from off the ground of education on off to maintained in levels and layers. Whole bunch of people associated with state police on and off Trinity College, on and off the end of the Berlin Turnpike, locations leading up to that, like a Miano family involved with racketeering with these media crime acts with child sex offenders proven. Further, their families were involved and are involved with further natures of racketeering interstate through time with fire inspectors, also involved with racketeering with the zoning laws and with their uses of such for racketeering. We have Weathersfield town offices also involved with this racketeering with Inspector Mike, real or made up, also involved with fire inspectors, with town offices and with Fox Connecticut News, WTNH, and WFSB, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with the Kerr family and with the DeMorrow family and with other people associated with parks and with uses of church locations. Identities like identity of a military, where we have little creepy people used for offensive. They start fights with people so they can pretend that people are, we have judges dealing with each age of fact nature. They're with racketeering where they're pretending to perceive things and value the worth of each age of fact nature. But this is after and in collusion with what is sustaining the forced, even sexual and medical and judicial crime acts and executive crime acts and private tied to that with the grammar schools, like of the principal sex offender further involved with this. Also with a whole bunch of natures of medical corruption in families. That and this is recorded, confessed. There's a Jen. There are a bunch of people with the name Jen, and associated with Ray Reynolds was used to facilitate. I don't know the name of his girl associated with doctors with them, and then like fake sides of difference. Oh, this is a homeopathic doctor. Like these are racketeering roles with live progressions with the rack. There was a whole bunch of people with Phil Cololo also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering roles with the Hamilton clicks and with the on off the locations on the water. These are also people racketeering with on off the state prison judicial branch offices and houses next to it, and the people that sold that and converted it into like grouped housing. Also with a house down the street in Oliveri, recorded, confessed, involved with the racketeering with the state police and former director of the FBI down. His lawyer, Robert Chevalier, that's former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, Also involved with the sequence shift racketeering, election racketeering, Weathersfield town offices, inter spots like the church. Also involved with the park racketeering, with the interstates, intercampuses training of the office, fire departments, all that. EMT. See, they're using that for their roles with racketeering, even communications, because then they have to hide their lie progressions that are legitimate, but they never were originally and still legitimate, where they have statutes that say that they could use the right to lie. They even put it in that phrase, the right to lie, because they want the per the organized racketeering distinctly and non-distinctly and altogether. Distinctly and non-distinctly how they have each branch of government, fact-cheap in nature, as vicious predators, as sick predators at the same time, delusions raw. But this can be healed, but we need to feed free speech. See, we have the Weathersfield police chief recorded methodically, consciously, effectively, maintain the roles, needing to use his daughter to pretend he doesn't want people talking about her. But he needs that because he needs to pretend motivations, nature's needs, and interests for his racketeering with evidences. He needs to pretend passions and emotions are there other than actual cause, which is his actually recorded racketeering uses of his daughter that brought her up. So that proves it. See, they're preventing the sequence shift racketeering, a whole bunch of natures of it. Also, because they're further racketeering into interstates in and out of courts roles with a proven sequence shift post-dated documents from inside the Ninth Circuit right before the Trade Center attack in Manhattan. The same ones involved with the Trade Center and with Washington, D.C., and with the Pentagon criminally, originally and still. You think they have the integrity to speak for the VA? These are pump tools for types of experts. Oh, it's the training. This is intercampuses originally still left racketeering roles. Now, free speech, because two Mendez police, two Domain police, and their families, and a Fianza family, and a whole bunch of other people associated with New Britain Superior Court are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering. Also, with a whole bunch of people associated with the Leahy family, and with Hartford Hospital, whole bunch of people. Now, these are also sequence shift racketeering roles with various natures of courts with them through time, crime methods or criminal uses of their family members, of their police interbranch, of the family members of the people that work for them, all for their roles recorded with offensive evidence reception, where they're pretending to perceive things, pretending not to believe that we could demonstrate that originally and still. If you entertain things, we'll call it, even with the witch trials, if they had to react to predicate acts they didn't know what to blame things on, still because they didn't know what to blame things on. And it's because how? Because they were not permitting free speech, so they're not preventing science, so there were roles with it, so they couldn't do anything but blame things on other things. Then they need to hide lie progressions. Right there, a whole bunch of means to do it. Oh, pretend to care about the integrity of the title. So you can pretend not to realize that you're preventing mandated law. Then you're going to make people angry righteously to prevent violence, to counter violence. They're preventing this. They have a whole bunch of people stealing my identity, all kinds of sequence shift racketeering roles, whole bunch of criminal uses of the buildings downtown, recorded and confessed and demonstrated racketeering with a whole bunch of houses on 2-hour highway that had nothing to do with, associated with racketeering with the Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors. Their roles racketeering with uses of the witness protection program. Their threats and extortion and worse with this Fianza family and with the media faking news and threatening that their roles with the body dumping spot saying different spots. Their roles with racketeering with the forensics clicks through time, the same ones criminal uses of the witness protection program and of other overt criminal enterprises recorded with racketeering acts with them too. Remember Mail Crimes Act racketeering. Remember that and how this is worse than just Trade Center context, racketeering against me. WFSB has also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts with police forms and overt criminal enterprises against plaintiffs, attaching their family members and themselves to fake positions, sequence shifts, and pretending not to realize that they were recorded with racketeering acts against those people before they did that. So they're approaching people pretending to be positive, knowing they were involved with racketeering, WFSB. These are also, again, databases, racketeering that is simultaneously a Facebook involved with the racketeering with the child sex offender, medical crime acts and methods with the kids, judicial racketeering with the kids. The same people involved with racketeering with them, with that proven and further recorded, with prisons tied to them and doctors tied to them, racketeering with the criminal uses of the campuses. So we have further also involved with the racketeering narratives, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated of the Wethersfield police chief uses of his family, immediate and extended, foreign and domestic, involved racketeering with this campus through time since before he had his daughter at it, which is another means to demonstrate he's bullshit, and she is, and the Mazzucatos are, with their roles also with racketeering with Facebook, racketeering that has types of experts against things, using that for what they pretend is training, racketeering, because they're all just relying upon databases they know are criminally foreign influence because their roles with it. They're actually recorded because they have physical delusions also that are used with the violence that is preventing mandated law. And they're attaching people to fake emotions and behavior, and with this, preventing mandated law, preventing people from countering racketeering against them and against them sickly, distinctly, and non-distinctly. There are people that like if you have a brother or sister in another grade, or even in the same grade, you're going to be in different locations at different times. They're going to measure that. They're using each nature or volume of each group, and if you try to be individual, they're going to hurt you that way too. In other words, and it's all fake. They're attaching everyone to fake words, fake sequence shifts. Then if you have to go back and speak about the past, we have people pretending passions and emotions, but you don't have free speech to demonstrate it because they reused all the identities of the law. Worthless. Worse than that. Originally and still. There's no, we have free speech. WFSB involved with the racketeering with Fox Connecticut News, also fake sides of correlation nature, racketeering roles again with the on off campuses sustained. See, they exploit the campuses racketeering for sustained with each age of fact, nature distinctly, each age of campus distinctly and non-distinctly, also through the same ones that are tied on and off with the businesses and houses next to it with the racketeering. So these are shared policing of the stores involved with all database relationships. This is not hard. We have to be able to have mandated law followed. I'm talking about the crime acts and methods here. Forging names and switching names into branch, pretending not to realize, having this confessed and recorded, demonstrated, a whole bunch of natures of police forms, intercities, coming in to hide the live progressions of the campuses, and organized crime methods that are overt and simultaneously distinct, misprision. Not just misprision in each individual group and together of each branch, but misprision individual grouped and together crime method nature branches. Branches raise. Who prays? You manic pray. Arise. I begged you long and hard. So they use the sequence shift regarding when I use a little bit of oomph in my voice because they attach me to fake passions and emotions because these are people involved with racketeering methods that pretend to perceive people being manic. That's recorded because they have fake conversations with me with people. This is also with the people like a Leahy family involved with various natures of courts of racketeering, attaching me and my family members to fake conversations through time. With the people involved with the racketeering, former director of the FBI's co-defendants, federal criminals who are racketeering with WFSB with them in a 2006 case leading up to it, and leading up, these are the people that were racketeering with WFSB with locations around them, facilitated to it, affected to roles with it, persuaded to it. So they're not following mandated law. They're pretending not to realize everyone's speaking through others, and they don't realize the database is involved with racketeering with them. They're just about their job. That's what they're told to do. That guy's in law. So these are victim predators. Follow mandated law. See, they're not allowing mandated law, and they're stacking federal crimes against people who have real free speech integrity. These are elections racketeering. These are sick value treatments in the mind of every, like Elizabeth Warren. You're a victim, as every woman, Miss Warren. Please help. I'll show you how to heal yourself, because the women of the Congress have failed our girls through administrations. This is recorded per your roles with the Congress, and with me too, with your fake mandated law racketeering roles with psychologists who think for you guys, men and women, recorded racketeering natures. They can't defend their takes on logic and its actual course with no criminal foreign influences. All drop the force boxing, fake sides, right through fake sides. The Trinity will now be told, all rise. For real, we need federal stewardships of Connecticut and interstates. Please respond. Follow mandated law. Not you, Miss Warren. Follow mandated law, people, right now. I'll show you how to defend our women and girls, because we have sick women and girls too involved, like, because they're victims law. See, we have like really like aggressive, like lesbian women. Nothing against them being lesbian, but they're also involved. So, in other words, with aggression and with drug racketeering, with the interbranch racketeering natures, with the intermilitary racketeering natures that love that, because they love that VA corruption, where it counts, where they gave up, originally and still. Religion fell. Free speech! WFSB, stop lying about people and with others. Stop pretending that you have the right to steal my identity, my property roles, too, with child sex offenders that were proven that were forced by your sex crime acts, with people involved with further trade center predicate acts, further justice corruption, Justice Department, further with your area. You want to do it easy or hard? Fix the fake news now. Tell the people you're sorry, the Wethersfield students, that you stole me the fake words, that you lied about my behavior, and that you can only lie about it now because you know that I'm trying to talk about crime acts. You already attached me to fake words. That recorded, you can't defend that in anything but roles with the racketeering. The same people with the finances, a Sean Dillon, an Anna Dillon, a Kevin Dillon, involved with my new and past neighbors, were racketeering with kids with you all. Drug crimes, formal, informal, lying to their family members, interbranch, attaching little kids to fake locations and databases, exploitations of that. Whole bunch of people with the name Alicia. Whole bunch of people intercampuses through time. They attach me to fake relationship locations. They have a whole bunch of people tied to a Lowe's location. Involved with the Casper family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the doctors involved. Male and female, foreign and domestic. Involved further with the racketeering with the spots, like along that strip up to CCSU from my town, no through Newington. And I've been asking you, have to lie about my behavior. They will say anything to pretend they don't realize forcing gun crimes, racketeering acts, methods upon people. And this is since before the Trade Center attack. I was already trying to report it. The people on Covington Street know they are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, facilitated criminal uses of military of foreign and domestic military. They don't even know about that. They just know that they were offensive, recorded, confessed, demonstrated all kinds of racketeering with prosecutors, with people associated uses of the Britain Superior Court with the child offenders. Whole bunch of nature's missed through time. That's how they keep a whole bunch of sick people with medicine jobs and stuff like Gary Sasso, recorded and involved with racketeering with people with forensics labs and stuff too. Further, racketeering with the law identities at CCSU, involved with campuses criminally through time. A whole bunch of dangers of child abuse, not just sexual and medical and judicial and executive branch. So they've been coached. If they get people to, if you call up and report something, they're telling people to lie about what's actually recorded, even online. So you understand that, you have to understand the racketeering with the FBI and Facebook. Their roles with that with other nations. The CIA is recorded also with family members involved with the racketeering on and off the school. They're ducking behind what's at the end of the campuses, the end of the corners of the streets with this. Foreign and domestic, fighting about value treatments where there's sick punk fakes here or there. Fuck. Get the fuck down. I'll get around. Yes.